Hiya. What I want to look at in this video is factorization, and I want to focus on two of the most popular types of questions and two of the most important from our perspective. The first being a quadratic. So if I were given a quadratic of this form and I was asked to factorize it, how might I go about that? Now there's two main techniques that are generally used to factorize a quadratic like that. Okay, so let's look at both methods now. So the first method here would be the back-to-back bracket method. So what happens in the back-to-back bracket method is that we write down first of all the factors of the x squared term. Okay, now that could be 4x and it could be x, or it could be 2x and it could be 2x. Okay, so let's just try there, for example, the 4x and the x. And now let's write down the factors of plus 6. Now they could be, obviously because it's plus 6, they could be a plus number here and a plus number here, or a minus here and a minus here. But because we have a minus 11 in the middle, they're going to be two minuses. So let's just try now, for example, minus 3. Okay, now I'll just do it maybe in pencil. So if I had minus 3 and minus 2. Now the way we test is with the outers and the inners. The outers and the inners. So if I multiply the outers there, I get minus 12. The inners, I get minus 2. They add up to minus 14. That's incorrect. Okay, so I tried the second type. All right. So I'm going to try, for example, switching them around. Okay, so I'm going to try maybe minus 2 there and minus 3 there. Okay, now let's try it. We have 4x by minus 2, which is minus 8x. Minus 3 by x is minus 11x, and that's correct. Okay, so that's minus 3x, that's minus 8x, and they add up to the middle, which is minus 11x. So again, if we want to check if we're right or not at the end, there's three things we have to do. First of all, do the first two terms multiply to give us the first term? And they do. Do the second two terms multiply to give us the third term? And they do. And do the outers and the inners add up to give you minus 11x? And as we see, they do. So therefore, those two terms there, those two brackets, are that quadratic factorized. Okay? Now that to me is a very, very good method, but a lot of people get quite bogged down with it. Like for example, if you had started with 2x and 2x, you wouldn't have been able to complete the question. You know, if you had gone maybe 6 and 1 or 1 and 6. So it really is a kind of a trial by error method. But nonetheless, it's a method that's favoured by a lot of people. Okay, now can I look at the second type of a question here, and the second type of a method that could be used to factorise this. Okay, so I have 2x squared plus 1x minus 10. So that there is obviously plus 1x. How do I go about it? I multiply the first number by the third number, and that there is minus 20. And I write down the factors of minus 20, which add up to plus 1. Now, if you can do that straight away, there's no problem, just write it down. But if not, you write it down slowly. So it's 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. And very important, the sign here is always in front of the x term. Okay, so the big numbers are always on the right hand side here, and the sign in front of those is the sign of the x term. And then they're factors of minus 20, so these will have to be minus, so that the factors will add up to minus 20. And then you pick the pair that adds up to the plus 1 in the middle. So we have minus 4 and plus 5. And all we do then basically is that you substitute those terms in instead of the middle term. So I have minus 4 and plus 5. So we have minus 4x plus 5x, okay, and minus 10. So now we factorize the first two. 2x into x minus 2 and plus 5 into x minus 2. Okay. So all we do then, we know we're right because the two brackets are the same. So all we do basically is that we join what's outside. So we have 2x plus 5 by x minus 2. Okay? Now, on the face of it, that is definitely the quicker way of doing it. But people do get bogged down and people do make silly mistakes. And if you are using this method, please be careful to check at the end. Okay? Please be careful to check that the first by the first is the first, the second by the second is the last, and the outers and the inners add up to the middle term. Okay? This second method, in my opinion, is slightly longer, okay, but it is quite logical. And once you practice this type of a method here, you'll find that it gets quicker and quicker as you become more familiar with it. All right? Okay, so I'll just give you 2 questions there, and you can try them using whichever technique you favor yourself. Okay? What I'm going to do is that I'm going to do the 2 of them. I'm going to use one technique on each of them. All right, just so as we can see each technique in practice again. So would you give those a go yourself, please? Pause the video and just see how you might approach those. Okay, so let's have a look at those there very quickly. So I'm going to do a back-to-back brackets here with this. So here I have 2x and I have x. The factors of 10, okay, they're obviously going to be the same sign, and they're obviously going to be both minus again. So I have, do you know what I'm going to do now? I'm actually going to do this one using the back-to-back bracket, because this is too similar really to the original type that I did. Okay, so I'm going to do this using the multiplication method. So I multiply the first by the last, giving me plus 20. And I write down the factors of that then. So the factors of plus 20 would be 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. So again, the sign of the big numbers is the sign in the middle, which is minus, and their factors of plus 20. So in order for these to multiply to give us plus 20, they're going to have to be minus as well. So then we pick out the pair that adds up to the middle term, the minus 9. And then we substitute in. So 2x squared minus 4x minus 5x plus 10. So make sure when we're substituting in the pair of factors into the quadratic that we put an x term after them. Okay? All right. So now we factorize the first 2, and we can take out 2x into x minus 2. This sign will always come down, so it's minus 5, and again by x minus 2. So that your 2 pairs then are 2x minus 5 by x minus 2. Okay? And hopefully that would be reasonably okay. And I'm going to try this one now using the back-to-back bracket. So, if I have 3x and x, and what I have now is that this sign here is negative, so these signs will be a different sign. So they're going to be 1 plus and 1 minus. Okay, so let's just look ample at minus 2 and plus 2. So how does that work out? 3x by x is 3x squared, correct. Minus 2 by plus 2 is minus 4, that's correct. The outers and the inners, I have plus 6x minus 2x, they add up to plus 4x. So that's not correct. Okay, so I have to change that. So I'm going to make this one here plus, and I'm going to make this one here minus. So then if I check the outers and inners, I have minus 6x plus 2x, which is minus 4x. So that's correct. Okay, all right. So that's quadratic functions, and that's how we approach quadratic functions. Okay, what we look at in the next video are trinomials. All right, which are factorized in pretty much the same way as quadratics. And as I said, we look at that in the next video. All right, thank you.